Next on NFL Primetime, how cold was it in Week 15? Just ask Raymond Berry, Jerry Burns, Anthony Munoz, the referees, or the fans. But cold weather also means playoff stretch runs. In Cleveland, the Vikings and Browns go to overtime to decide a winner, while in Cincinnati, the game was over at halftime. In San Francisco, Bills win, they're in, while Green Bay needed to win to stay in the playoff hunt. We'll turn the league upside down on NFL Primetime next. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to Week 15 on ESPN's NFL Primetime. With us, most of our usual cast of characters: Tom Jackson, John Saunders, Pete Axthelm ill this afternoon, and so he won't be with us on this show. We'll see him, of course, next week. 4 teams had a shot on the penultimate Sunday of the season, Week 15, to get into the NFL playoffs. The last of them being the Raiders. Sunday Night Football on ESPN playing the Seahawks. Win, they're in. Oh, if it were so easy. Up in the kingdom where the Raiders have had plenty of trouble, Art Shell, Raiders win, they're in the playoffs. But he had to deal with the noisy Kingdome crowd. And on the first possession of the game for the Seahawks, Dave Craig buys some time and finds Paul Scansey for a touchdown. Seahawks lead it 7-0. Raiders drive downfield. Bo Jackson leaps, stretches for the end zone. Now, you can look at it and say he's over the goal line. No. Melvin Jacobs scoops up the fumble. He runs for a touchdown. No. They ended up, after a long look, blowing the play dead. L.A. settles for a field goal. Steve Berline takes some lumps. Boom! Jeff Bryant nails him. He fumbles. The Raiders recover. But Al Davis not pleased. The Raiders down 13-3 at the half. And to start the second half, Berline goes up top to fast Willie Gault. Pretty pass, nice catch. 13-10 Seattle lead. Next LA possession, they drive down, and Berline to Trey Junkin. The end zone, the Raiders lead by more than a Trey. They lead by 4, 17-13. But here come the Seahawks. Craig scrambling. Big fullback is such a nice receiver. John L. Williams, nice catch for the touchdown. John L. with over 100 receiving yards. Seahawks lead at 20-17. Another Norm Johnson field goal makes it 23-17. Tom Flores wondering if they can hold on. On fourth down, they do hold on. Berline's pass is too high, and the Raiders run out of time. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Raiders 23-17. Of course, Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann called the game for us this evening. And I guess all around the league, these two teams, guys, it's a John Travolta game because everybody is staying alive.
Boy, aren't they ever, Chris? One of the interesting things we found talking to Art Shell before this game is he said he wanted the Raiders not to make the big mistake early and give the Seahawks momentum and get the crowd in the game. So they came out and maybe were a little bit more conservative than they would have, and it cost them in the first half.
I feel like if there was a key to this football game, it was the ineffectiveness of the Los Angeles Raiders early to try and get their big play people into the game. They seem very content to just try and break Bo loose, totally forgetting about Mervin and Willie. Second half, they turned around and started to put the ball up to him, and that's when they started to move it.
Now, you said early it was going to be a quarterback game. Somebody was going to make the play. Somebody else was not going to. Berline did not make at least enough of them, something that Art Shell said had bothered him about his offense. But Dave Craig did make the plays for the third straight game.
Boy, he really did. I mean, you talk about Dave Craig going on a streak. He was absolutely fantastic tonight. He moved around well, which he enjoys. He told me he loves to move around. Basically, it's a drop-back pass offense, but nah, David Craig likes to move around a little bit, and he showed it tonight with the big touchdown to John L., the one to Scansey. You know, he can make play after play.
When the Seattle Seahawks are able to run the ball, as they did some tonight, it really opens up that offense for them.
It makes a world of difference. Anytime you can run the football on first down, you truly get the defense into a defensive mode. Tonight, the Seahawks did it. The Raiders didn't. The Raiders have to wait till next week now.
All right, Chris, maybe you can do something for us that we couldn't do. You can explain how Seattle can still make the playoffs.
Well, let me tell you, with 50 cents and a cup of coffee and about a week, I could probably explain that. But the Seahawks are still alive. Unbelievable, but it seems like everybody is alive. And talk about a couple teams that are alive. Our next game on Saturday night will settle the AFC Central crown, the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Oilers in the Astrodome. That's a Saturday night start, the 23rd at 8 Eastern Time. The winner will win the Central. The loser may be a wild card. The loser might not be a wild card. So that's our game next Saturday night. Some teams controlled their destiny, at least in the AFC Central. The Oilers had that shot. What happened to them? What happened elsewhere around the league? That's why we're here. We'll be back.
This portion of NFL Primetime is sponsored by the Acura Legend and Integra. Precision-crafted performance exclusively at your Acura dealer.
Buying a car means asking yourself a lot of important questions. But the way we see it, there's really only one question that matters. The one we ask ourselves again and again when we were designing the 1990 Acura Integra. Is it a joy to drive?
Engines designed to aerospace tolerances should have a fuel that's equally exacting. Because the more sophisticated the engine, the more sophisticated the fuel must be. Exxon Gasolines, precision equipment for precision engines. Just turn the key.
If your pictures suffer from red eye, there's a better way to clear it up. The new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye. Get the new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye.
NFL Primetime is sponsored by Exxon Superflow Motor Oil. Go with the flow. Superflow. By Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda. It just feels right.
After a slow start under Marty Schottenheimer, their new coach, the Kansas City Chiefs have been a red-hot ball club. Hadn't lost in a month. They've gone 3-0-1. And it looked like they had their layup game today. They were at home at Arrowhead, where they were 5-2 this year, against the San Diego Chargers. So it looked like they were playing a doormat, but a divisional rival, always dangerous, father and son. Best and coldest seat in the house at Arrowhead. And after Nick Lowry hit a pair of field goals to make it 6-0 Chiefs, the bad news, Christian Okoye banged up, had to leave the game. But the good news is that Todd McNair had a good day as his replacement. At a shotgun, he rumbles inside the 20. Then one play later, Steve DeBerg with the pass. McNair, wide open touchdown, looks like a runaway for the Chiefs. And that's a Haight-Ashbury Santa, looking as the Chiefs lead 13-0. Under 2 minutes to go, though, Billy Joe Tolliver comes alive. Darren Nelson, some nice moves for the Chargers, gets inside the 35-yard line. Dan Tolliver threw for over 300 yards last week, hits Anthony Miller on a pretty pass down to the 1-yard line. 21 seconds to go in the half. 3rd and goal, play action. Tolliver to Andy Parker Penn for a touchdown. It's 13-7 Chiefs at the half. In the third quarter, Marion Butts began to take charge. That's right, Marion Butts. Outside run to the 30.
And an inside run doing his best Christian Okoye imitation.
He was the Florida State nightmare. Marion Butts, another first down inside the 10. He had 39 carries for 176 yards. 39 carries is a team record for the Chargers. What side of the field doesn't matter because the Chargers keep moving. Anthony Miller, touchdown at 17-13. Here's the play again.
First rule of defense down around the goal line, don't go deeper into the end zone than the receiver. Chiefs make a mistake that you don't usually see by their secondary.
Under 2 minutes to go, the Chiefs trail 20-13. DeBerg to Clarence Weathers, out of bounds. Marty Schottenheimer's club trying to get the 2-minute drill working to force the game to OT. DeBerg, Weathers, keeps the drive alive. 40 seconds to go. DeBerg to Clarence Weathers. And the Chiefs hoping to weathers this storm until DeBerg decides to throw to somebody else. Mistake. Roy Bennett picks it off in the end zone. The Chargers have won it. Steve DeBerg not happy with this. Rarely seen winter wear for the San Diego Chargers. They break it out twice a year in Kansas City and Denver. And San Diego wins it by the count of 20-13. And the Chiefs came in with a good D, but San Diego had it going, Tommy.
Well, Coach Dan Henning had an outstanding offensive game plan. I don't know when I've seen the Chargers run the ball any better. Once you run the ball like that, Billy Joe Tolliver, knowing that the defensive backs have to come up to help support the run, able to make play-action pass work all day.
You know what's weird in all of sports, football, boxing, everything, sometimes other teams or other boxers have someone else's number for no reason. The road to the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs goes through San Diego, because the Chargers swept the series this year from the Chiefs. Were it not for San Diego, the Chiefs might really have an inside track and a wild card berth. But their defense, after playing so well the last 6 games, had real problems. Look at the difference in rushing yards. We'll be back.
You could win up to $10,000 playing Big Wheel. Stranger things have happened.
Offensive explosion at the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Part of Bowl Week, Friday, December 29th, live on ESPN.
Steve Berline quarterbacking the silver and black. The Raiders up at the top of the hour, live from the Kingdome against the Seahawks here on ESPN, 8 Eastern Time, 5 on the West Coast, even earlier in Alaska. Welcome back to Primetime, where the Indianapolis Colts and the Miami Dolphins, both with playoff possibilities. Now, the Colts lost to Miami earlier this year, John, but with Eric Dickerson is in the lineup, going in, they were 3-0 against Miami. He was back today.
Yeah, we know Dickerson's been hampered by the hamstring, but he would be a key factor in the game as Miami started the game tied with Buffalo atop the AFC East. The Indianapolis Colts, they've been playing very well of late. They were only a game back and looking at a chance still to win the division. Don Shula's Dolphins looking for some big plays. Scott Schwade's takes the punt from Ron Stark on the fly and takes off. Breaks the seam, 70 yards for the touchdown. And Ron Meyer sees his team fall behind 10-0 early in the game, but Indianapolis would come back. A 74-yard drive capped by the 6-yard Jack Trudeau to Andre Rison touchdown pass has the time and hits him. The Colts trail 10-7. The turning point of the game, Reggie Roby does not get punts blocked. This is the second time in his career it's happened. Chris Good recovers, takes it down to the 1, and it sets up Trudeau again, who was hot on play action. Finds Mark Boyer, who's wide open. The Colts fight back. They're on top 14-13 into halftime, and it's just beginning to get a little hairy in Indianapolis. Jack Trudeau is the main attraction, spotting Bill Brooks. This for a gain of 36 yards as the Colts were on the move once again. Then he finds the former Dolphin, James Pruitt, who makes a nice catch for the pickup of 14 yards. 2 plays later, Eric Dickerson finishes off the 72-yard drive, takes it in for the touchdown, 21-13 Colts. The offense was not the only one doing handstands, Tom.
Well, good offense inspired good defense. Sammy Smith here moving across the line, breaks a tackle, Can't get by Dwayne Bickett, though. Wins this battle. Bickett had a good day overall. Indy also put together an effective pass rush today. Dan Marino feeling the pressure all day. Gets this one off as he's hit by Chip Banks. Marino not getting the job done today.
Jack Trudeau was, though. He finds James Pruitt his first touchdown as a Colt, 28-13, in the holiday spirit in Indianapolis. Marino had a bad day. Dolphins, very next offensive play. Marino picked off by Freddie Young. The Colts set up shop at the Dolphin 28-yard line. As Don Shula looks on, Jack Trudeau with all day to pick out a receiver finds Albert Bentley wide open. When you have that much time, everybody's going to be open. Trudeau with a great day, 4 touchdowns, a career high. He'd never ever thrown for more than 2 before. And Eric Dickerson, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns, along with 63 receiving yards. He's now the 58th time he's gone over 100 yards. And Marino was fumbling the ball, fumbling and bumbling. Dan Marino and Don Shula, not a good day in Indianapolis. The Dolphins' playoff hopes in severe jeopardy as they get killed 42-13, and the Colts tie Miami at 8-7. They would wait for the Bills' outcome, which we'll have later. The Steelers had slim playoff hopes alive against New England, and it was cold. 9 below with the wind chill. Bundle up, folks. But this would be a good one for Santa and the Steelers. The gift would come early. Jeff Beagles, take a look at the frozen turf. He loses his footing, barely gets a piece of it, and then finds his backside. If that doesn't work, try the drop kick. No, pick it up, kick it again. Bouncing around. And Tommy, it was tough on the turf
Well,
today.
the icy turf had made it tough on everybody. Hartley Dykes can't fall up as he tries to run a pattern in the middle of the field. Then Patrick Egu trying to field a kickoff, has trouble, makes a bad decision bringing the ball out. He's down around the 5-yard line. And even Mark Wilson, who had a much better day than we would usually think, had problems getting away from center.
The Steelers are tough. Lately, their defense has been great. Mean Joe Green standing by there. Watch the near interception. Out of Irving Fryer's hands and into Lynn Dawson. But the Steeler D pays back. Watch Thomas Everett hit Cedric Jones. Jones hangs on to the ball so they can take a hit. Robert Perryman takes the handoff. Can he hang on to it? No. Can anyone hang on to this football? Finally, the Steelers do. Greg Lloyd recovers the football. And on the next play, they go to the wide receiver, Lewis Lips, but on the reverse. 58 yards, longest run of his career, takes it in for a touchdown and a 21-3 Pittsburgh Steelers lead. The tempers then start to flare. Merrill Hodge and Raymond Claiborne. Maybe enough to wake up the referees, but apparently it did. The referees needed to be woken up later. Merrill Hodge, the great catch to the 1, takes the official with him. Won't be the first time. Bobby Brister drops back, look out for the stripe.
Hang your head down, Tom Dooley. The referee gets in the way of a play that should have been a touchdown as Roland James picks it up, runs it into the end zone. They had to use the replay to see that the ball came out as the quarterback's arm was going back.
Everyone's favorite, the replay. The officials aren't sure what's going on. Bobby Brister's not sure what's going on. The replay booth, they go up there. They're not sure what's going on, but they decide it's down to the 30. Bobby had a good day today. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but he gets the win. Steelers fans didn't even have to look to see this one. Patriots hanging their heads. Pack up the car. It looks like a hearse for the Patriots at this point. Outside shot of the playoffs for the Steelers, first time in 5 years. Steelers' defense has been unbelievable as they've won 4 of their last 5 games, allowed just 10 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah, outside of those first 2 weeks that the Steelers got shellacked, they've done a marvelous job on defense. Nobody would have expected them to be above 500 with 1 week to go at 8-7. And we've got plenty more to show you here on this edition of Primetime. It's not been the greatest of years for Dan Marino. Today was a tough day. Compare 89 to his career numbers. You can see he's fallen some, but then again, the 89 numbers are great years for other people, just not for Dan. We'll be right back.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can save you up to $1,000 now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
Konica knows to keep a business running smoothly, you need teamwork, timing, and communication. You can't afford to miss a beat.
I'm missing page 2.
Your systems
No problem.
need to be efficient as well as simple, fast, and affordable.
Hello? We've lost some music.
Like Konica fax machines. They deliver on the spot to keep your business performing. When overnight just won't do, Konica Facsimile saves the day.
Welcome back, my friend, to the game that'll never end. Well, we are going to update the Redskins and the Falcons. That's 31-30 Redskins with 10 minutes to go in that game. As that crawls along, we'll keep you updated. Packers and Bears, the oldest rivalry in the National Football League. Green Bay has become America's team. And it's odd. If Chicago lost today, they would be swept by both of the Bays, the Greens and the Tampas. At any rate, Matt Suhey, final game at Soldier Field. Keith Woodside, best game. Here's a guy, Woodside, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Look, get him go. He could go all the way. Had only 149 yards coming into the game at 116 on this day. 68 on the play, 7-0 Pack. But Neil Anderson, he goes back the other way. Is this going to be a wild offensive game? It's the Pack. What do you expect? Finally, the Packers track him down. Muster scores on a touchdown, and it's 7-7. Packers still not impressed. Watch Mikowski on the roll. Avoids the Russian, and watch this pass to Perry Kemp. For a touchdown, no less. Come on, Magic. 14-7 Pack.
Mikowski here showing his athletic ability, running across the grain, throwing the ball back in the middle of the field, and he's got now developed that touch where he just lays the ball up. Perry Kemp brings it down, touchdown.
Could the Packers D and Timmy Harris stop the Bears? No, sir. Neil Anderson running outside for a first down. Then Jim Harbaugh threw 3 touchdowns on the day. Goes to Anderson. The pretty catch between 2 defenders. Nice throw. We're tied at 14 at Frigid Soldier Field. After Chris Jackie's field goal makes it 17-14 Pack, watch Mikowski's athleticism again. Under pressure, avoids John Roper, hits Sterling Sharp, magically if I can say it, for 8 yards. 2 plays later, the Magic Man used to run the option at Virginia. Here he keeps it himself on a 17-yard scamper for the touchdown. Packed by 10. Boom! 24-14 at the half. Timmy Harris asserting himself in the second half.
This is what makes Timmy Harris a Pro Bowl player. He's crawling, he's rolling, he's doing anything he has to get to Harbaugh, knock the football out.
But Harbaugh did remain poised with the score 27-14 Pack. Harbaugh to Neil Anderson in the flat. Anderson, he could go all the way. 49 yards touchdown. Now a 27-21 game. Jackie field goal makes it 30-21. What is this? An onside kick? Well, Donnie Jones recovers, but actually what happened, the ball's getting blown off the tee. He tries to stop the... He kicks it. It looks like an onside kick. The Bears recover, get a great break, and Lindy says, oh, my goodness, they might come back. Brad Colonel Muster in the conservatory with the lead pipe for a 4-yard touchdown. The Packs lead down to 2, 30-28. And then the Bears, Richard Jent picks up the football. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, finally knocked down after Roper pressured Mikowski. But the Bears return the favor. Harbaugh picked off by Scott Steven as the Bears had a chance to take the lead. Mikowski would take advantage, still at 30-28. He finds his favorite receiver, Sterling Sharp. Makes the move for another first down. Center stage on 4th and goal to Mikowski. The fake to Brent Forward down. Don't do that. Put the ball down. Don't put it up on the 1. But he did get the touchdown, 37-20. The Bears would give it one last shot. But here's Timmy Harris, number 97, moving in and forces the fumble. Scott Steven picks up the loose ball, and he's thinking about going all the way. Finally, the speedster Ron Morris. Whoa, he's pulling up. Looks like he needs another breath of air. Oh, no, he doesn't quite get in there. But Jackie kicks the field goal. The Cheeseheads were happy as Green Bay, keeping those playoff hopes alive, win it 40-28. First sweep of the Pack over the Bears since '81. Green Bay's first winning season in 11 years. The Bears' first losing season since '82. Bucks and the Lions. Billy Sims, he's there. Watching Barry Sanders perhaps break his rookie rushing record. But a team effort today. Barry Sanders versus Fields. Watch the moves. Unbelievable moves, setting up a Galliano to Richard Johnson touchdown. 7-0 Lions early. Billy Sims says, you know, I used to do that wearing the same number. Now Jason Phillips wants some of the action. So Bob Galliano says, no problem. fires one for a 19-yard pickup. Then Galliano to Phillips. Now, where's the defense? What? He's wide open. 55-yard touchdown. 10 catches for Jason Phillips, the rookie out of Houston. So you know he knows how to catch the ball. His college quarterback, Andre Ware. For Vinny Testaverde and the Buccaneers, who played all those nail-biters, this was a different story. Vinny, sacked.
Sacked by Mike Cofer here, and this went on all day. Lawrence Pete here crushes Vinny down to the ground, fell on his foot. Vinny would not return for the day.
Just a sprained ankle. And so enter Joe Ferguson. And he's intercepted not once, not twice, but the veteran Joe Ferguson is picked off 3 times by the suddenly juggernaut Detroit Lions. Now back to Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders, a pleasure to watch. This is smart running. He sees the first down marker. He knows where it is. He uses his strength to get by it first down. Then we see him down near the goal line, takes the ball, has his eyes upfield, sharp cuts, puts the head down, gets into the end zone.
As a rookie, Billy Sims had 1,303 yards for Detroit in 1980. That carry by Barry Sanders breaks Sims' record, who still knows how to take the handoff. He goes on the field and shakes the hand of the guy that wears the same number that replaced him in the record books. Barry Sanders' 600-yard game of the season at 104 yards as the Lions roar over Tampa Bay 33-7. By the way, in the game, Eddie Murray had 4 field goals. This is a guy that's had 1 miss this year and 1 miss last year. And if you go back to the end of the strike, 56 of 62 since 87, the middle of the 87 season for Eddie Murray. And so the Lions, they've won 4 in a row. You talk about top rookie rushers. Barry Sanders with a game to go as the 7th best total. And he's within range of Billy Sims' overall Detroit record for one season of 1,437. Billy Sims, Barry Sanders, Lem Barney, all wore number 20. Pretty good number in Detroit.
Dad, a blade razor with a motor?
Yes, Tori, the Remington Electroblade. Vibrating twin blades feel like they're massaging your whiskers away or your money back.
Keep the money. I'll keep the Electroblade.
Razor sharp kid, eh? The Remington Electroblade.
You know, Thrifty Car Rental has variety for everyone.
I can rent a new car from Thrifty and save money, money, money. Oh, yeah.
Enjoy luxury and savings. Rent a new Chrysler 5th Avenue with unlimited mileage, just $36.95 a day. 72-hour advance reservation required.
Thrifty, a lot of car rental companies for incredibly little. Call 1-800-for-cars and away you go.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
No matter what size your business, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
ESPN is your ringside seat for a middleweight face-off. Knockout artist Glenn Wolfe battles Matthew Hilton when Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing. Tuesday night at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
On to the AFC Central, where everybody is still in the playoff hunt, but Houston has the best chance because going into today, the Oilers knew that if they won at Cincinnati, they would win the division. They haven't won it since the 60s, and it wasn't this division, of course. But Cincinnati is the defending AFC champion. Would they let the Oilers come in and beat them in the jungle? No. Here we go, the jungle. Cold. But the Bengals on the playoff hot seat. They need a win just to stay alive. Oilers, first play from scrimmage. Warren Moon with a fumble. David Fulcher was all around the ball all afternoon. The fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and the Bengals are in business. 3rd and 7. Boomer Esiason, play action like nobody does in the league. Touchdown to Eddie Brown. Eddie, one of his 6 catches, 7-0 Cincy. The Bengals were about to erupt. This is a team that's won by 31, 33, and 35 in earlier games at Riverfront. The Oilers never recovered. Moon to Drew Hill. Guess what he does? He fumbles. Lewis Phillips on the strip. Carl Zander recovers. Later in the first, Warren Moon picked off by that man, number 33, David Fulcher. Warren's had some great games, and he'll have many more. But on this afternoon in Cincinnati, the paltry figures of 9 for 20 for 96 yards tell your story. In the second quarter, more Oiler miscues.
Mike Rozier here pounds into the line, going for the goal line. Fumble!
Thank you.
McClendon recovers. Touchback for the Bengals. Nothing could go wrong for them today.
No, nothing could. As Jerry Glanville said, it's cold. Boomer in the offense, yeah, they were on it. They were hot. 3rd and 2. Not only is Esiason great at play action, he does more.
He gives the great pump fake, lays the ball up. Eddie Brown gets it backing into the end zone. That's a great pass.
Then on 1st and goal from the 6, Tommy, another play fake.
Esiason here with the play fake, hits tight end Rodney Holman. That's a great play for him down around the goal line. Short range of vision. He has an easy path to throw the ball.
31-0 Cincy at the half with the score 38-0. Esiason to Tim McGee on the slant. Tracy Eaton. You know what he's doing? He's going to be eating AstroTurf. Doesn't catch him. It's a touchdown, 45-0. Now, remember what Sam said earlier in the week? It's important that the Bengals set the tone against the Oilers.
We not only have to beat Houston, but we got to beat them up. We got to really knock them around and be physical today.
So with a 45-0 lead, what? An onside kick? What? It works. Lee Johnson on the pooch. Ira Hillary recovers, and up 45-0. Weiss is calling for the onside kick. Jerry Glanville could only watch, but Sam and Boomer wanted more. Eric Ball from 5 yards out, 52-0. Reggie Williams, final home game at Riverfront. Of course, I love home games in the City Council. Up 58-7, 21 seconds to go. Sure, we'll bring on Jim Breach to kick a field goal. And guess what? It's like it's the biggest play all year. It's good. 61-7. Cincinnati slices and dices the Houston Oilers. And afterwards, Sam Weiss talked about the big score.
They were cocky and doing all their talking, and their coach doing all of his talking and all that kind of stuff before the game, and they got humiliated today. They just got embarrassed and humiliated, and I would hate to have to ride back on that plane and have to play the Cleveland Browns next week because, honestly, Cleveland ain't going to quit no matter what happens. They're not that kind of people, and I just I can't see that sorry team that played today doing any better than they did against us.
So in the span of 2 weeks, Sam gets on the mic and says, this isn't Cleveland, this is Cincinnati, so he goes there every year. Now he gets on Houston, he plays them every year. Maybe he should pick an NFC team that he sees once every 10 years, but a great win by the Bengals. What does this do to Houston, Tommy, losing by 54 points?
Well, Chris, I think when you're down by 30, you're just angry. You want to come back. You still think you're in the game. When you're down by 54, I think you start to wonder, what kind of football team are we? Big question in Houston's mind, can they get it back together emotionally enough to beat Cleveland next week in a must-win situation?
In defense of Houston, now this is a crunch job, but it seems like every time they lose, something of 15 of the last 16, they come back with a win. They were crunched by the Chiefs a few weeks ago, 34-0. They came back to win 2 in a row. But Sam was trying to win 2 games because at the time he wasn't aware of what Cleveland was doing, and he was thinking maybe if we get Houston in a big enough problem, we can sneak in as divisional champ. The Browns, meanwhile, had their hands full with the Minnesota Vikings on the shores of Lake Erie. The Vikings had a chance to clinch the NFC Central. Old-time football, old-time weather. The dogs froze, dog bones froze, ref froze. Even the Gatorade froze. It can freeze there, and the heaters worked. Some of them did, but some of them had to be carted away. Not a day for hard contact, but here's Chris Dolman on Bernie Kosar. Ouch, bad. And Michael Dean Perry, who's had such a marvelous year, crunching Wade Wilson. This was playoff football. Mark Gusbeck on Eric Metcalf. Defensive battle in the first quarter. The punters, the biggest guys in the game. Bucky Scribner, 4 first-quarter punts. And Brian Wagner had 4 first-quarter punts. 21 punts in the ball game. So it was a defensive game. Metcalf to Langhorne, but Dolman on the trick play nails him for loss of 9. How do you slow down that rush? Bud Carson was trying to figure out. Well, you can move some of your blockers like Lawyer Tillman.
Here you see Lawyer Tillman come in motion, double up on the block on Chris Dolman to give Bernie Cleveland did in the first half.
And Barry Redden on the run will fumble it. Cleveland having the big problem running the football all year. Scott Studwell recovers. And the barefoot of Rich Carlos on the frozen Cleveland turf. It's a 34-yard field goal. The Vikings led it 3-0. On the ensuing kickoff, Redden plays it like a hand grenade. The Vikings recover the miscue. And that gives Rich, watch your foot now, Rich. Oh, you got it out of there. Another shot from 45 yards. It is short. But penalty gives Carlos another shot. And from 40 yards, the kick is up and forget it. Off to the right, Jerry Burns looking kind of like one of Santa's helpers there. 3-0 at the half. Minnesota. Ozzie Newsome's last home game for the Browns. Regular season home game. Co-star to Ozzie Newsome, the standing O on the 19-yard pickup. Then after a long pass interference penalty, co-star to Ron Middleton. 5-yard touchdown, slips, but the Browns laid it, boom, 7-3. Joey Browner and the Vikes. No, this is going to be a single-digit game with single-digit weather. But maybe not. Herschel Walker bursts up the middle for 26 yards. Big run for him. It's 10-7 the Norseman. Kosar to Reggie Fonghorn Langhorn. Passes Browner. He could go all the way. 62 yards. Browns on top, 14-10. Game heating up. Fourth quarter. Vikings threaten. But Clay Matthews crunches Wilson for a huge loss. Hurts his left knee. Tommy Kramer, the quick warm-up and the quick entry. Later in the fourth quarter, Kramer warmed up to find the tight end from Brown University, Steve Jordan, for 23 yards. Jordan with 6 catches on the day. And on 4th and goal at the 2, his biggest catch, right there. 17-14 Vikes, 3:37 to go. But back comes Cleveland. Hadn't won in a month. Kosar hadn't thrown a touchdown pass in 20 quarters, so that earlier one to Middleton. Here he hits Lawyer Tillman of 18 yards. Matt Barr, 29 seconds to go. Now remember last week against Indianapolis, Barr, 2 costly misses, and the Browns lost in overtime. There's 1, there's 2. So Barr was thinking about that. Down 17-14, and it all riding on this 32-yard field goal. But it was good. And we're tied at 17 and go to overtime. Second possession in OT for the Browns. In the OT, Kosar to Langhorn. 39 yards, beating Carl Lee. Then on 3rd down, Hagel. No, he doesn't hold it. He fakes it. Throws the pass to linebacker Van Waiters. A tight end eligible. A 14-yard touchdown pass on a fake field goal. A beautiful call for Bud Carson as they win it. 23-17. And because if the pass is incomplete, they can still kick the field goal on 4th down. Earlier, you saw Ron Middleton catch a touchdown pass. He was worried about a lot of things on that play.
Good. I was nervous, of course, but it happened so fast, and it just happened, you know. When I slipped down, I was thinking though, I hope Chris Berman don't don't get on me about it, but it was good. It was good.
Don't worry about it, big guy. I'm big, but he's a little bigger and probably in better shape. And the Browns, all of a sudden, are in good shape. This is a team that's played 4 overtime games this year, Tommy. They lost 2, they tied 1. They finally won 1. They had to come up with a big effort against the best defense in the NFL.
Well, and I think they got that big effort from the offensive line. When you think about the protection that Bernie Kosar got during the day, especially in the first half. When I think about number 34, Herschel. No. On the Cleveland side of the ball, Kevin Mack, and his ability at the end of the game to run the football, I think, and put him in a position to win the game. I think that merit badges go out to the entire offensive line.
Yeah, Fike was hurt. I mean, they really dug in, and the Cleveland Browns, well, they can win the division if they win Saturday night against the Houston Oilers. And by the way, the last time overtime game was won on a fake field goal, the Vikes did it against the Bears in '77. Paul Krause, the Stu Voigt. The points by the Bengals, second most in the '80s. Unbelievable.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can get you $750 cash back on 89 Mazda trucks now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
It began at dusk on a day in October and didn't end until a summer night in June. Over 1 million miles of testing, over 1 million miles to prove that Exxon's advanced clean engine formula will keep entire fuel systems running clean and intake valves free of deposits. It did. Exxon unleaded gasolines with unsurpassed cleaning power. Precision equipment for precision engines.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime. And we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
Welcome back to NFL Primetime. The Rams with an unbelievably tough loss on Monday night to the 49ers, John. But just when you need them, into town come the Jets, who couldn't even figure out who was playing quarterback today.
Absolutely perfect. The Los Angeles Rams, as you said, they blew 17-point leads twice, so their chance at winning the NFC West title was gone when San Francisco beat them last Monday. So the wild card could be theirs if they could win their final 2 games. The Jets come in and, well, take a look. Ryan O'Brien and Eason. Sounds like a law firm. Oh, Tony Eason gets his first action with New York. On a second series, Eason hooks up with JoJo Townsell, 63 yards to tie the game at 7. But it was Eason's only bright moment of the day. It's picked off on this one. Watch, the ball is tipped up. It's up for grabs. Looks like a tip drill. And Jerry Gray is up there to get it. Second quarter, Eason in the pocket gets stripped of the ball, and Brett Farinez recovers at the Jets' 1-yard line. Then Farinez gets in for a sack as well. Tony Eason, 10 of 14, 130 yards, 1-1. Jim Everett does what he usually does and has done so well this year, and that's throw the ball. Looks for Pete Holohan. 25 yards on this touchdown play as he takes it in. 2 series later, Everett goes for 6 to Flipper Anderson, and Flipper, who had that great game earlier this year, right in his mitts, and he drops it. So they try it again. Everett goes long to Anderson. The ball is short. He comes back to it and takes it in 43 yards, 21-7. Time is winding down in the half. Everett keeps L.A. moving. Henry Allard, all alone, makes a 21-yard grab and a pickup, 28-7 at halftime. Jim Everett, you can see him, goes over the 4,000-yard mark on this day. Jets went to Ken O'Brien in the second half. Bring him back in, but it was the same old story. O'Brien's pass to no one unless he was passing to the 25-yard line. New York tries anything. The flea flicker. Brown back to O'Brien. This one is knocked away by Gray. And this epitomizes the afternoon. Everett hits Buford McGee. McGee fumbles the ball. James Hasty gets it. He's running around looking for an opening. Gets hit, and he fumbles the ball. Aaron Cox comes up with it. Joe Walton is wondering what has happened to his team. Jim Everett now 4,129 yards, a new Rams record. 28 touchdown passes, leads the NFL, and the Jets' D is allowed 29. Meanwhile, the Redskins and the Falcons. Redskins were still alive. Atlanta linebacker Jesse Tuggle doled out some big hits. How about this one? Joe Howard gets popped by Tuggle. On the Skins' second possession, Mark Rippon recovers the fumbled ball and pays the price. Tuggle sends the quarterback to the sidelines, almost snaps him in half, the sprained neck. Back to Doug Williams. He goes to work. 34 yards to Art Monk, diving for the ball, 10-3. Falcons come right back. Chris Miller to Michael Haynes, 72-yard catch and run on the scoring play, ties the game at 10-10. Then following a 33-yard punt return by Deion Sanders, it's Haynes again, 17 yards in the touchdown. Atlanta's on top, 17-10, but Tom Rippon would come back into the game.
Yeah, and he would come back, and when Tuggle wasn't hitting people, he was making other things happen. Here, ball off his foot, Tim Gordon intercepts. Seattle scored, Falcons lead 27-10.
17-point lead, third quarter, Skims come back all the way. Rippon to Monk. And Art Monk takes it at midfield and goes the rest of the way. 27-17, the Redskins are coming back. And after Miller was intercepted, Rippin hooks up with Ricky Sanders, 68 yards, gets it down to the 1. Biner would take it in, 27-24. Miller's intercepted by Darrell Grant. That sets up Mark Rippin again. 4th and 1 to play fake, 8-yard touchdown scamper, 31-27 for the Skins. No scoring in the fourth quarter in the longest game of the day. Redskins win it 31-30. Redskins 124 points in their last 4 games, but that was the good news. They won the game. The bad news was the Rams won as well.
Which means Washington's gone from the playoffs, although a valiant comeback, and they could affect someone else's destiny. But more on that a little bit later as Washington plays Seattle next week. We still have to show you 49ers-Bills highlights. And before we do, let's tell you who won when they ran for 100 yards? Everybody. Who won when they passed for 300 yards? Well, happy. We'll be back.
I'll never forget 1958, the first overtime championship game ever played in the NFL. Unitas and the Colts, they beat the Giants 23-17.
And the sporting news was there.
Hey, you want overtime? How about that 1982 playoff game? The Chargers over the Dolphins, 41-38. The most exciting game I ever saw.
And the sporting news was there. Yes, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, or hockey, wherever the excitement is, the sporting news is there, bringing you more complete coverage than any other sports weekly. Call now for the sporting news at the lowest price anywhere, with convenient delivery right to your door.
Call 1-800-253-1000 and get 29 issues of the Sporting News for 4 payments of just $4.99. You'll save 69% off the cover price, 40% off the regular subscription rate. You can't get a better deal. Call 1-800-253-1000. That's 1-800-253-1000.
David Craig, since he's returned as starter for the Seahawks, he's been hot. Teams won a couple in a row. Can they derail their divisional rival Raiders? Raiders hunting for the playoffs. Seahawks even alive. That's live at 8 Eastern Time here on ESPN. But live at Candlestick Park early this afternoon, the San Francisco 49ers, owners of the best record in the National Football League, took on the Buffalo Bills, a team that had lost 2 in a row and a team that was badly in need of self-esteem. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas did some finger-pointing early in the week. They kissed and made up publicly on Thursday. Cornelius Bennett not playing again, neither is Joe Montana. That's your cast of characters. When you take Montana out, who is the best, you don't fall very much to Steve Young. He throws it long, but on this play, the Bills defense is there with Kelso, Mark Kelso making the catch in the end zone. Late in the first half, Bills defense stops Young on a 4th and goal. And Cornelius can't play, but he's psyched with his mates. They lead it 3-0 at the half. But to start the second half, more defense. Kelso with another interception. George Ziepert says, whoa, we don't want to lose our momentum. Jim Kelly lost his, though. Bad pass picked off by Bill Romanowski. Takes it down to the 23-yard line, and the Niners are in business. San Francisco went right to work. Roger Craig at 105 yards, goes over the 1,000-yard mark this season, and he's having a bad year. That'll set up from the 2. Craig behind Tom Rathman. 7-3, San Francisco. Ensuing kickoff, Ronnie Harmon cuts to the outside. Looks like he has a nice return going, but he coughs up the football. Antonio Goss recovers for the Niners. And the Niners offense goes right back to work. Craig sweeping left. Niners want to get this running game going. Last couple of weeks, it's a 14-yard pickup for first down. Roger over the C-note for the afternoon. That sets up Steve Young, who we know can move.
And Steve Young shows a dimension that Joe Montana really doesn't have right now, an ability to get out of the pocket. He spots the end zone, curls up over the football for a touchdown. And on Buffalo's next possession, Kelly's pass is tipped by Andre Reed, who had to go up a little bit to get it into the arms of Ronnie Lott. Ronnie here spotting the territory, trying to make a touchdown, trying to get it down the football field as he becomes the 49ers all-time interception leader with 48.
Breaking the mark by Jimmy Johnson. And so Kelly had 265 passing yards, but 3 costly interceptions. And it took one play, Young, Jerry Rice, for the interception to backfire. 21-3 49ers. Bills have made it 21-10. And when they complete a pass, this time Reed fumbles it. Michael Walter recovers. Marv Levy stunned. As for the third straight week, the Bills have lost at 21-10. And for Buffalo now, they have no shot of hosting a home playoff game, at least if they're going to win their division. They cannot host one because they would have a worse record than the Central champ. And we know they have a worse record than the AFC West champ, the Broncos. Now, two things in this game, Tommy. 49ers wanted to keep the intensity up. They didn't want to lay back, and the fact that, you know, they sit back and lose momentum for the playoffs. For Buffalo, a win here was a tall order, but they really are on the serious skids.
Well, I think the win was a tall order today, and we talked about it. This was a game that they may have expected to lose, but I think with all the problems they've had during the week between Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly, they really have to be concerned about next week, and if they can come out and put all those things aside and get a victory.
Well, they're hoping that they get Cornelius Bennett back. He may not play against the Jets, but if they win the division, that would give him a couple more weeks off. Maybe they can be a force in the playoffs, but they're a team in search of a win. And the Niners, of course, they have the best record, 13-2. We'll be back, trying to unscramble some of the playoff scenario. But the race to the #1 pick, Dallas, of course, has used their pick already in the supplemental draft for Steve Walsh. So the Falcons come from a head loss today, keeps them on par for #1.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can save you up to $1,000 now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
Here's how renting a real luxury car can send you sailing or soaring. Test drive the new Chrysler 5th Avenue with unlimited mileage at Thrifty. Just $36.95 a day with a 72-hour advance reservation. Then buy one at your Chrysler dealer and you get a free cruise for two on Royal Caribbean or 50,000 one-pass frequent flyer miles for free trips. The Thrifty Chrysler 5th Avenue rent, buy, sale offer. See Thrifty for details. Hurry, don't miss the free.
ESPN continues its commitment to bringing you the best fighters in the game with the WBO Light Heavyweight Championship. Michael Moorer faces Mike Cedillo in a Friday night special, live on ESPN.
Welcome back to Primetime. We thought we would have some more answers for you concerning the playoffs after Sunday in Week 15. Bet now. San Francisco, we already knew they were going, and they have a home field advantage all the way through the NFC. The Denver Broncos have home field advantage all the way through the AFC. Now, the Giants clinched at least a wild card yesterday. They, of course, can still win their division. But these three teams are the ones that don't have to sweat it for Week 16, Tommy.
Well, I think that when you look at these teams, certain teams are separating themselves from the rest of the pack. The 49ers, the Broncos, those teams have already found their way to the playoffs. For the 49ers, who appear again to be the best team in the league, Joe Montana is the trigger man, his favorite target. Who else? Jerry Rice, who's carving a notch in all the history books as a wide receiver. But it's defense that wins championships, and the Giants have two of the best outside linebackers in the league, and Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks. They lead Bill Parcells' club. Bill mighty happy to have them around. And then in the AFC, John Elway and the Broncos are led by rookie running back Bobby Humphrey, who's put together a great ground game for the Broncos. And on defense, it's been a rookie named Steve Atwater that's made the big plays for him from the beginning of the season until now.
And so the Broncos flying high in the AFC, and of course we've talked many, many times how tough they will be at Mile High Stadium, and the 49ers. Those two teams go in, obviously the big favorites. Of course, the Eagles will know that they're in on the Monday night game against New Orleans. Now, teams that control their own destiny, but are not in yet. Houston, Cleveland, that's the Saturday night game. Saturday night here on ESPN, the winner of that will win the division and will have a home game in the playoffs because they will now have a better record than Buffalo or anybody that comes out of the AFC East. The Raiders control their own destiny. They win their last two. They will host the wild card game. Buffalo beats the Jets. They'll be in. Philadelphia, of course, can still win the division. The Giants are ahead of them by a half game, but Philly doesn't play till Monday night. Minnesota, if they win on Monday night against Cincinnati, or if the Packers lose on Sunday, they're in. And the Rams control their own destiny. But there are many, many other teams alive. Now, we don't have Einstein here with us in the studio. He tried to make it, but there was traffic outside here in Bristol, so he couldn't get here in time to explain all the scenario here. But teams that need some help. Miami, by losing today, falls in that category. So do the Indianapolis Colts. Both of those teams right now are at 8-7, but lose the tiebreak to the Bills to win the division. Cincinnati Bengals, they are still alive. They can't win the division. They can't be a wild card team. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who'd have thunk it in August? They're alive. Yeah, at 6-8, Seattle. Long shot, but what the heck? They're still riding. Kansas City Chiefs, they end up the season with Miami down in Florida. They're alive. And the Packers, with a Vikings loss and a Pack win this coming weekend, the Packers would win the Central Division. So there's a lot of things still happening here. And we're looking for teams really to take control here. Now, next week, some ball games that we want to tell you about. We mentioned the Cleveland at Houston game here on ESPN. That's a Saturday night game at 8 o'clock. Kansas City at Miami. Of course, both of those teams now need some outside help. And the Monday nighter on Christmas night, if the Pack win on Sunday, that means Minnesota has to win. Bengals still alive, although things could happen on Sunday to knock them out of the wild card chase. They will still be alive perhaps on Monday night, only for a wild card berth. And it's tough at this time, Tommy, to figure out a ball club, even though they're on the outside looking in. But what a statement the Bengals made today. They really have a shot. That's going to be a great ball game, Cincinnati at Minnesota, if they're both still alive. And, of course, the Houston-Cleveland game, they're coming from opposite ends of the spectrum. Cleveland with a great overtime win against the defensive team of the Vikings. Houston with the serious loss. Do you think they can rebound?
I think that Houston's going to have a hard time rebounding from a loss that severe. When I look at the playoff picture and I look at the teams that are getting in, I think the key to getting in, and the 49ers do it better than any team this year and any team during the decade, is the balance, delicate balance between run and pass. A couple of teams that do that better. The 49ers, the Broncos have reestablished a running game. Minnesota trying to do that with Herschel Walker and Finney. The Houston Oilers are having a problem establishing that running game now.
I tell you what, though, the decibel level for the home game on Saturday night in Houston and on Monday night in the Metrodome, it's going to be, bring your earplugs if you're going to that game, because with both home teams needing it to get in, it is going to be loud. We have more on Primetime in a moment. The Axe